Well, good morning, State of Jefferson E-Club members. It is so great to be with you today. This is kind of an emotional visit for me because this has been a dramatic year. This is my last club visit, my official last club visit. And there's always something a little dramatic about a governor's visit. They tell the story in our district about the governor who pulled into Gold Beach one day and he was looking for the Rotary Club. Wasn't sure where it was meeting, so he pulls into this filling station and he asks the guy, "Do you know where the Rotary Club is meeting today?" And the guy says, "Well, absolutely. It's down the street and around the corner, but you don't want to go there today." The governor says, "Why not?" He says, "Because the district governor is the program." And so let's have a crowd response.
Oh,
But there's also the recollection of past Rotary International president Cliff Docterman. Cliff, many know as one of the most loved and revered and respected past Rotary International presidents. He was preparing for an address at the International Assembly one year. The International Assembly being the last training stop for district governor-elects around the world, 540 some, before they're turned loose on their districts. Cliff, a prolific speaker and an author and so on and so forth, was wanting to freshen up before he gave his talk. So he steps into the men's room and to dry his hands, he steps over the wall where there's one of those machines. And for those old enough to remember the machines that you actually had to push a button, he goes to push that button and he takes a closer look at it and there's a little yellow sticky stuck on the button. And puts his glasses on and reads, "Press once for a brief message from the district governor." And so, Emily, it's all right to laugh. So at this point, when I'm visiting terrestrial clubs, I ask, how many of you have endured, I mean, heard a district governor talk? And there's always one or two souls that aren't quite sure what's going to follow. When my wife Linda heard that I was going to be the district governor and then visiting 67 clubs, she said, "Bill, I really hope you don't blow a lot of hot air at them." And I said, "No, Linda, I don't want to blow hot air at anybody. And I don't want to blow any hot air at you, but I would like to just kind of share with you a personal story about a Rotary moment that I had almost 10 years ago now. Related to a life perspective event. I think most people are probably aware that last fall I had a health scare and I was just on a roll visiting. I think I visited 51 Rotary clubs at that point in our district. But one fateful Monday morning, I went in for an echocardiogram and left being told that I had critical aortic stenosis, that I was benched, that I was soon to be placed on the injured reserve list with Vice Governor Del Gray taking over, and that I was going to have surgery. That was a critical moment for me because it reminded me once again how fragile life is. But it wasn't the first time that I'd had a jolt like that, and that's what I'd like to share with you briefly. Almost 10 years ago, it was July 6th. 2009, it was a beautiful day in Springfield. I had returned to Springfield where I was working from our home in Coos Bay. I'd had a great 4th of July weekend with Linda and friends and so forth. But now I was back in Springfield, and this sunny afternoon after lunch, I was out looking for a location for the Springfield Rotary Club's signature project. It was that drift boat going into town on Main Street, right there across the Willamette River. Everything was just fine. I didn't have a worry in the world. And all of a sudden my phone rang. It was my doctor. And, you don't want to get a surprise call from your doctor. That's never a pleasant experience. That morning I had gone in and done blood work for a routine physical and hadn't thought much of it. And the doctor says to me, "Bill, do you have bruises all over your body?" And I said, No. I have one big welt on my arm where I had gotten bit by a drill over the weekend on a project on our Coos Bay home. But no, I don't have bruises all over my body. And he says, "Are you exhausted?" I said, No, not particularly exhausted. I'm maybe a little tired, but I'm not exhausted. He says, "Well, you only have 2,000 platelets. You need to go to the hospital immediately." Whoa, I need to go to the hospital. I was having a great day. I didn't have a care in the world really until then. I said, "All right, well, I didn't know what 2,000 platelets meant." But I said, "You want me to go to Mackenzie Willamette? That's the nearest emergency room." He says, "No, no." He says, "You're going to River Bend. They have a bed waiting for you." Whoa, whoa. Now I'm rocked. I got to be there overnight. He says, "You're going to be there several days." Okay. So now all of a sudden my whole mental paradigm is shifting. I go back to the office, shut down my computer, tell the boss I'm going to be gone for a period of time. Go back to the condo that I lived in during the week when not at home in Coos Bay, and packed an overnight bag, made arrangements for my dog, headed up to River Bend. And on the way, I called my wife, Linda. Many folks realize that Linda is the now soon to be retiring CEO of South Coast Hospice. Yay is right. And when you're married to the hospice director, you only get sympathy if you have 2 weeks left. And she was giving me way too much sympathy when I told her what was happening. She knew what 2,000 platelets meant. I had not a clue. So I check into River Bend. I go upstairs. I get in one of those ridiculous hospital gowns, and several of you know that I'm 6'4". I think I probably weighed 10 pounds more than I do now. And those things are not designed for somebody like me. And somebody was really proud of all the snaps and buttons and hooks and everything to get in those. But it was certainly, it did nothing to basically calm my shattering nerves. Fast forward to give the abbreviated version here. After a period, a really smart-looking guy walks into the room and he says, "Hi, I'm Peter Kovac, a hematologist oncologist." I'm thinking, whoa, I hope I don't need you. Because remember, I was having a great day and I was just thinking about Rotary and everything going fine. He says, well, he takes my history and he hears that, mom died from leukemia and grandmother died from leukemia. And he's looking at me thinking, well, the guy doesn't look too bad, but I know that the lab work that we took a couple hours earlier tells a tale. He says, "I'm going to go look at your blood under a microscope and I'll be back." So fast forward, an eternity seemed to pass. And he comes back and he says, "I got some really good news for you. It's not curable, but you have one of the best blood cancers you could possibly get." Now I'm thinking, oh my heavens. And so you start to think of all the people you've known who've died prematurely and questioning whether you're one of them. And it's kind of like there may be no atheists in foxholes, but I think there's some reality of looking at the gallows and the humor that you hope to find. Fast forward 4 days later, I'm out of River Bend. The next week, where she's come over from Coos Bay. She's driving me to Willamette Valley Cancer Institute on Country Club Road in Eugene there for my first outpatient visit. Now I'm on 80 milligrams of prednisone, down from 100. And for those who've been on prednisone for like poison ivy or something, maybe they give you 20 milligrams. I'm on 80. And that's not doing anything to soothe my shattered nerves and self-questions about what on earth is happening here. So we go into the waiting room at Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. And here's where the Rotary moment comes. I'm looking around at the people in the room and they all look pretty healthy. Well, no, they didn't look healthy. They didn't look healthy at all. They looked concerned. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And I look up on the walls, and I know some architect, interior designer type was really proud of this, but I see words like hope and faith. And then I'm thinking, right up here, they might as well just put, "and don't go to the light," because I was scared. And I saw a similar expression on several faces in the room. But then it happened, and I saw him. He was sitting about 8 feet away from me, and it wasn't that he looked not too healthy. It wasn't that he looked really, really concerned and intense. And it wasn't that he was an old guy and he looked a little bit like Dr. Zarkov from the Flash Gordon days, for those who would remember him. It wasn't that at all. What grabbed my attention was this. He was reading this book. I had read this book and it rocked me. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. For those who don't know about Viktor Frankl, amazing guy. He was an Austrian Jew and a neurologist and a psychiatrist and a concentration camp survivor. He writes about his experiences in these various concentration camps during World War II. The amazing thing about his work is that he questioned, why is it that some people survive in these incredibly painful, inhumane conditions in these camps, and others perish, and perish quickly? What is it about those who survive that set them apart from the others? And what he discovered as an empirical scientist, doing his analyses, was that the ones that survived were distinct from those who didn't, because the ones that survived had identified some significant purpose in their life. And it could have been anything. It could have been that they had a desire to visit their family. It could have been that they wanted to see the hills where they grew up, or to finish a manuscript that they'd started that didn't finish. It didn't matter. What did matter was that they had identified some significant purpose in their life. And that's what I realized I was trying to do at that very moment. And it led to a Rotary moment. That was the summer of 2009. I spent that summer doing several things. One, taking what felt like a gallon of chemotherapy through these veins. Two, I was serving as president of the Springfield Rotary Club and deriving incredible satisfaction out of that. But three, I was thinking about what really is the life worth living. What is the value that I have been placed on this planet to do? What is my responsibility as a human being? And that's where Rotary came in. And so that's where I came to appreciate that Rotary and the things that we do as Rotarians gives me and you the values that add meaning to your life beyond just the ambience of having faith in God and loving your family and maybe a satisfying career. And, I had all those things. I don't want to represent to anyone that I was living a valueless life. Not at all. But I came to realize before Rotary even established its vision that was my vision as well. And as Rotarians, we know that we have a purpose, and that purpose is to unite, come together, and create lasting change across the globe, lasting change in our own communities, and lasting change in ourselves. I have never gone to Guatemala and participated in a project like Emily Francona has done. I've never gone to the four corners of the United States and installed solar panels like so many in this club have done. I've never done that. I've never gone to Ethiopia like District Governor, soon to be elect, Cindy O'Neill has done, working on a maternal health project. I've never done those things. But what I have done is to support the Rotary Foundation to the best of our abilities. And by making it our charity of choice, Linda and I feel that we have participated vicariously in those projects, just like those Rotarians that have been privileged enough to do the work hands-on. I am, as the year now, the Rotary year winds to a close, I'm just so appreciative of RI President Barry Rasson's theme for the year, that being "Be the Inspiration," because that's really what Rotarians are. We're the inspiration for so many that are less privileged than us. And so what I've done as I've visited clubs around the district is that I ask the presidents if they will identify a couple of Rotarians that are especially inspirational in their club, because I want to recognize those individuals and give them a little memento. And typically what I get is, well, I can't identify just one or two because there are so many in the club that are hands-on and inspirational. But if I was to pick two members out of the E Club that are especially inspirational, they'd have been exactly the same two that President Rick identified. And so what I'd like to do is present to Bruce Garrett and Kevin Martin one of these small myrtlewood blocks that was manufactured right here on the south coast of Oregon that says Rotary District 5110, be the inspiration. Because these two guys have been the inspiration not only for this club but for our district, and they're staying engaged. I think about how much work it takes to put the program together week after week after week for the E Club, and I think about the effect and the impact that it has, and I know that those two have been instrumental in that all along. So I'd like for them to have this, and President Rick, I think you'll find a way to get that to them. But there's a third person that I want to recognize, and that's President Rick. That's your wife, Emily. Emily, come on, get up here. We can do this if I just kind of slide over. This is one of the inspirational blocks that I'd like for you to have. Let's see, kind of scoop down so we can get in there. Thank you, thank you so much. Emily was the first president of the charter club. I was there the night the club was chartered, and I think just how hard you worked to put this together from vision to reality, and that it has not only sustained but that it's grown. This is clearly one of the best clubs in the district, and for those who have never visited the E Club online, I would just encourage them to do it because it's a special experience. So that's my message. There's only one other thing that I'd like to wrap up with. We talked about the humor of when a district governor come to visit the club. When I was visiting the Sisters Club, past district governor Hal Kibbe was in the room, and just as I had started my talk and I was starting to get onto a roll, I look in the back of the room, and there's Hal, and I'm thinking, what the heck has he got on? And what he's wearing is a pair of Bose noise canceling earphones.
Just like that.
And so if there's ever a need to keep a governor humble, let me suggest to you that's very, very effective. So with that, thank you so much for allowing me to visit today. I love the E Club. I was its first assistant governor. I've followed the E Club through all the wonderful things that it's accomplished and continues to accomplish. The original vision you had for the business to business program that is Rotarians to Rotarians supporting each other was Emily's vision originally. Now the club is taking it on for our district and has added value by coming up with a club revenue sharing program. I could go on and on, but again, that's my message for you today, and thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
If I could, I would like to give you one of our banners.
Oh,
if you don't have one.
Okay.
And an application for membership in the E Club at your leisure.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Rick. Thanks. That's great.
You said we had to have fun.